Hi there, Alison here with another Cab Franc du jour. Today we're traveling to Stellenbosch, South Africa, and we're looking at the Raats Famliy Wines 2016 Raats Famliy Cab Franc. Now this wine and this winery has been on my radar for a really long time, and I had a chance to chat with Bruwer Raats recently, and we talked about his story, the vineyards, his whole philosophy with regards to Cab Franc, and it was truly enlightening, and it makes presenting this wine so much more exciting. So Raats Famliy Wines began in 2000, really with the sole vision of focusing on Cabernet Franc and Chenin Blanc. Brewer sought to really highlight both of those grapes' sort of ability to showcase the terroir of Stellenbosch and do so at a world-class level. He was very aware from the beginning that Cab Franc requires very particular sites to be at its best. So he sought out the coolest sites for not only his own vineyards, but the growers that he's working with. So the majority of the grapes are coming from vineyards in the Polkadraai Hills ward of Stellenbosch. This is in the westernmost part of Stellenbosch. And that westerly location gives sort of the most direct influence of the Cape Doctor winds that are coming off of False Bay, which really help to provide a cooling influence to the vineyards. In addition to that, the vineyards are all south-facing slopes, which of course in the southern hemisphere, the south-facing slopes are the cooler ones, and the north-facing slopes are the ones that face the equator and are thus a bit warmer. In addition to this, we also, the brewer looks for vineyards that are at a slightly higher elevation. So in this case, we're talking around 300 meters or so above sea level. Now, in terms of the soils, the soils throughout the South African wine growing regions are very, very diverse, but there's one common thread that kind of links the top sites and the top wines, and that's granite. And we are dealing with granite-based soils here with a little bit of dolomite in there as well, but it's a really key piece of the puzzle. And also Brewer tells me that he prefers to work with the clone 214, which is the Loire clone, which is kind of interesting as well. So let's taste this wine. Now, Brewer also kind of had a great way of articulating his love of Cab Franc. He said to me, it has the elegance of Burgundy, the spice of the Rhone, but the structure of Bordeaux. And I think that's a great way of sort of describing the grape's persona. On the nose, I'm getting a beautiful kind of blackberry note sort of up front. And then there's a nice sort of red fruit component that comes through for me as almost like strawberry preserves and even a little bit of pomegranate juice. But what's really sort of defining this wine is the herbal undertones, and it's a bit beguiling in a way. It comes through as this really high tone kind of menthol element that immediately makes my brain think of eucalyptus, but I know it's not eucalyptus. But it has this sort of Mediterranean garrigue thing happening, like rosemary but lavender, but it's slightly different than that. It's quite unique. This has great fresh acidity. The tannins are quite particular. They're very firm and fine, very velvety in the mouth, and they sort of help to pull in this sort of fleshy fruit profile, which I really like how that's kind of doing that. What's also really defining about the palate is there's a spiciness. It comes through on the finish for me as like this sort of cinnamon stick element, which Brewer tells me is sort of a defining signature of South African Cab Franc. All in all, the wine is really structured, but it's finesse-driven as well. It has a nice energy to it that is like this sort of electromagnetic thing going on. It's quite beautiful. If you've not had this wine before, I highly recommend seeking it out because it's worth your time. And it's such an interesting example of Cab Franc that is so true to the place and true to the grape. It's really quite spectacular. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, and I will be back again soon with another wine. Cheers.